Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the HR Intuitive Institute. We are still slowly in transition. As you can see behind me, I'm still working on this video set. Hopefully, very soon, going to be able to interact with you here. But until then, this will do. My commitment has always been showing up, and even as we're transitioning, except for the fact of when I was sick, I still want to make sure that I show up and I'm here for all of you. So if you are here for the first time, if you're a new student, whether you're watching live or you're coming back and watching the replay, make sure you say hello in the comments down below. If you're watching with us live, make sure you chat with me and say hello. It's always nice to be able to give shout outs to new students for the HR Intuitive Institute. So one of the things that I really like as we're amidst transition, and I think this is really cool to watch this evolution piece happen from work love that just started show up and start doing something on video through amidst this pandemic quarantine and really finding myself really loving doing live streaming and connecting with you. And then in that process, I also was writing my newest book that's coming out at the end of the month. This is not the pretty copy. This is a proof copy, but the HR Intuitive, which birthed this whole brand that I think has been kind of percolating and marinating for a long time for me about being an intuitive and being a healer and incorporating that into my HR practice. One of the things that I really struggled with for most of my life is the fact that I am an intuitive. I function very intuitively and getting thrown into traditional HR profession, very logic-based, very factual-based, and I had to learn how to evolve and do well in that scenario. And I did. I became very good at employee relations and documentation and crossing my T's and dotting my I's. And what I didn't realize was happening at the same time was that I was basically suppressing my intuitive skill set, because if it was not something that could be linked to a fact, something that I could physically document or have proof that I could take to a court or a case, I basically said that it wasn't legit. And so for a long time, I've had this battle, and I realized that it was a struggle of who I am. And because of that struggle, I never showed up fully at my best. I never really was reaching my full potential. So even when I thought I was on top of my game, even when I thought I was doing really great at the work that I do, I still was not there. People were only seeing a portion of me. And I probably spent close to 10 to 15 years solidly of being someone who really wasn't me, being a version of me that I thought the world wanted. And at the same time, I really struggled with how I showed value, if I had any purpose, and connecting to my work in a way that was really meaningful for me, and that was important for me. I totally recognize there are people out there who don't need their work to be meaningful because they find that somewhere else in life. For large chunks of my life, work was everything for me. And so not being able to find that meaning there really was hard for me. I'm very grateful for my graduate school experience, because I was surrounded by educators who really pushed me to start looking at that fact, looking at the fact that I was struggling to find the meaning there. I was getting almost skeptical or pessimistic. At times, I think I was almost a little rude in class to professors, because I just was tainted and didn't think that things were possible. I even started to question, my master's is in training and development. So it's a master's of education, building curriculum. And my specialty niche is corporate training, facilitating, and creating learning outcomes. And for a large chunk of my time in that program, I really struggled with, does training really add any value? Or are we just there to provide like breaks and entertain the employees, and that's the best that we can do? Do we really serve as catalysts to change? Do we really have any power to make the visions of organizations come true, help employees reach their organizational missions or link or feel part of that organizational mission? And so I really played devil's advocate in reiterating that I just didn't think that the value was there. During that time, I also realized that even though I had suppressed, very much so, this intuitive side of me, there were still parts of it that I would say were kind of, I want to say leaking out, but we're going to just say oozing out, because I think oozing is just a much more calming, passionate kind of terminology. So was oozing out. And where it was oozing out was when I was in the learning spaces, when I was facilitating, when I was coaching. I gravitated towards, and I think the universe nudged me towards training and development, because there was a space that I could be intuitive and it was going to be okay. So I say all this, our topic today is what's truly possible. And I put some questions out there that said that this was for you if you've ever asked yourself that truly can't happen, or that just is not possible. And this whole concept of limiting beliefs. And this was a lesson that was so powerful for me when I started to realize that we truly do limit ourselves to what we think is possible. And I think as adults, we are ingrained that as we get older, we get wiser, which we absolutely do. But with that wisdom comes this permission to discount possibility. We get to this place where we basically start saying, these things are not reasonable, or they don't happen. And now more than ever, I think in this time, when we're talking about things like diversity, equity, and inclusion, things that have been around for a long time, talking about changing systems of oppression that have been ingrained into our history, organizationally, but also culturally and as a country. Healing that, changing that, being a catalyst to that is going to cause us to do some things that we don't think is possible. The other day I was watching this conversation happen on LinkedIn unfolding, which I personally love to do. It's that introverted side of me. I like to watch. I like to observe. I'm a people watcher, and since we can't go to the mall and sit on the park bench, I guess it's still a park bench, sit on the park bench in the food court and watch people. I watch people on social media. Everyone's been hanging out there and how they interact with each other, so watching there. And in this conversation, the whole concept was all about these new call to actions for organizations to really be held accountable, to embrace, and really move towards being catalysts of change in their own organizations for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the comment was a very respectful conversation, probably one of the most respectful conversations that I've seen in a while, of people sharing their opinions. But what they were sharing was, is it really possible? This disbelief of, yes, I could be bought in. Yes, I don't think this is right. But can we really, really manifest change? And I think that idea, that possibility comes from, once again, those years of our wisdom that empowers us or tells us that we have permission to discount possibility. You know, as we get older, the dreams that we carried as children start to die, and they're long forgotten. And as I watch even my children just take in everything around them, and the possibilities are endless. I mean, my 9-year-old right now goes from, she's going to be an Olympic swimmer, to the president of the United States. She'll do a couple of years as a fashion designer. Then she's going to be a teacher, a vet, and then she'll finish off her life being a doctor. And of course, college is in there somewhere, she says. the possibilities. And no matter when you look at her and maybe are skeptic or pessimistic and saying that's not reasonable, in her face, she only sees possibility. And no one's going to shake that or take that from her, at least at 9-year-old Maddie. At what point does that go away? You know, when I was little growing up, I believed that I would have a career immersed in music. Music was going to be my entire life. I've now spent the last year just trying to get it back, to have it have a presence. And I can certainly give exhausting detail of that journey and how I let it die and how that possibility of me ever being able to do what I thought would be my life, what I loved, how I let it just disappear, let it die, let it go away. I always ask people, what is truly possible? If we remove all these beliefs, all the things that we're taught, all the people that are naysayers in our organizations, what could we possibly do or achieve as an organization? I mean, sometimes I think missions and visions are limited by these perceptions as well. If you have doubts or question, if you can really be someone who changes the world and makes a difference, I want to say put that aside. You can. You certainly can. It's your choice if you want to, but you certainly can. We change lives every single day. That's one of the things I love about being in HR, because I know I change lives every single day. That's why I love being an educator. That's why I show up on these live streams, whether it's 1, 2, 10, 50 of you, speaking engagements, same way. Because that one person, you can make a huge difference with that one person. Every interaction, we're creating these ripples and sending them out into the world of what's possible. And today I was very much reminded, working with a client, about how much our intuition, our gut feeling, our natural organic instinct guides us to truly recognize what's possible. And when we want to force ourselves into these narrow kind of focus, it brings us back. It gently will nudge us back and say, look at the possibility that's here. Every time I see these photos of people standing on cliffs, looking out at amazing views on beaches, staring into the sunset, looking at the endless ocean, we're amazed by the possibilities that represents, the infinite possibilities. And that's what we have to carry with us on a daily basis, and recognize that when we're answering that that's not possible, we're putting a limitation there. And so I invite you to let go of whatever justifications you have as to why that won't work or that's not possible, and dip a little deeper and just figure out what might be possible. Because I think my greatest dilemma right now is that I don't even know if I'm capable of comprehending what truly is possible. So those are my words for this week on our topic of what's truly possible. I hope this served you. As always, leave your comments share with us your experiences in the comments below, and or what questions come to mind, what thoughts come to mind, which would be great inspiration for future episodes of the HR Intuitive Institute. But thank you so much for tuning in today for lesson number 63. Oh, and before I forget, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you do that by hitting that subscribe button below. And I also think let's see if I can make this fancy subscribe button work here. I think I can get it. Let's see. Maybe not. No subscribe button. Oh well. But click the subscribe button below. And also don't forget to hit the little bell so that you get notifications every time that we go live. I'm here every Thursday, usually at 12:30. Today we're a little bit early because I'm going to go get lunch for my little ones because I'm at home working with them today and experiencing every moment. It's also why I had these weird pauses as I'm listening to what they are doing upstairs, trying to figure out if I have to intervene. Oh, the challenges of live streaming and motherhood as well as working. Well, have a beautiful Thursday. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.